First, though, let's look at the year in economic matters. I want to look back at 2023 with one of our regulars on this program. He's the economic advisor at Judo Bank, Warren Hogan. Warren, thanks for being here to look back at the year that was. So what was the most important driver, feature of the economy in this year?
Yeah, hi, Kieran. Thanks for having me on again. Looking back, it's quite clear for 2023, the big move in the economy was from consumer spending. This is consumer belt tightening across the board in response to the cost of living pressures, higher interest rates, and what we've learnt more recently, this surging income tax take from the government because of bracket creep. It's really been a phenomenal squeeze on households. When you adjust for inflation and measure it in per capita terms, consumer spending's off almost just over 4% from its highs. So this is a sort of a severe squeeze. Otherwise, the business community is holding up well, construction's holding up, and overall the economy seems to be staying out of recession.
What was the biggest surprise of the year looking back?
Without doubt, I think the biggest single surprise from the perspective of the overall economy was the population growth. If you go back to this time last year, we were not expecting anything like the numbers that have come through. The first element of this was obviously the big upward revisions to the government's net overseas migration numbers in the May budget. And then as we found out last week, the actual numbers have been even bigger than that, and they've sort of tried to make some further adjustments to get that back under control. But if you have a look at the kind of numbers we're probably going to get this year in total population terms, it's probably an extra 700,000 Australians. And we were probably thinking it would be more like 450,000 a year ago. So that's a big, big miss. And of course, it's one of the key reasons the economy's sort of holding up despite that big squeeze on household budgets.
How are we positioned as we end 2023, and where to next for the new year, Warren?
So we're definitely in the middle of a soft landing, and this is desired. This is what the RBA, the government, have been looking for. It's all about getting rid of this inflation without a recession, without creating a lot of job losses and distress in the economy. And that's exactly how it's playing out so far. Going into the new year, it's really unclear what the next step is. The ideal situation would be the economy remains soft through the first half of the year. Inflation, this cost of living pressure comes right off. Interest rates remain where they are, and maybe we can talk about them coming down at the end of next year. But we're looking pretty well positioned for that. But, it's not clear. We could see a step up in activity, or we could see a step down.
And what are the X factors, though, the potential surprises that you're most worried about?
Yeah, well, it's all about where do we go from here. And I think the X factor in terms of a stronger economy would be that this pressure on consumers starts to pull back. If that's inflation or rates not going up any further, and they start spending a bit more. And because the business community is in good shape, activity bounces. And the problem with that, though, is that might see the RBA have to raise rates again, because that would maybe lead to higher inflation. So a stronger economy is not necessarily a good thing in the first half of next year. The X factor on the other side is a step down in activity. And for that, I'm worried about business insolvencies. There's been a lot more insolvencies in the past year than we've seen since prior to the pandemic. And if that really picks up in the first half of the year, that could result in job losses. So look, it could go either way from here, but we're hoping it just continues to remain soft. And the good news is there really isn't any sign of recession for this economy at the moment.
That is good news. Economic advisor at Judo Bank, Warren Hogan. Thanks for today and right throughout the year. We very much appreciate your contributions and wish you and the family well for Christmas.